Today is Friday, April 19, 8:35 a.m. The market opens in slightly less than an hour. The levels you see on the chart here on the spiders that will be used to trade against on the E-mini futures are pretty straightforward except for 499.50. Not that it's not straightforward, I just want to point out why it's dashed. This is where the spiders hung out most of the afternoon yesterday and the post-market, and then they've opened up below, they spiked above. They've been moving around this level, essentially the gap left over from yesterday, so they're fighting 500 effectively in that area. It's 510. Right here is the pre-market. So, and the reason it's dashed, it's just I would want to consider many other factors and indicators before I would take a trade at this level, depending on how they come into it, whether from above or from below. The general sentiment is bearish at this point, but they could be fighting it. We could get a pretty decent bounce off this, so it could serve as a good long trade, but that remains to be seen. If and when I shouldn't say if, because I'm pretty sure they're going to hit this level at some point, probably sooner than later. But anyway, we'll analyze all the trades taken at these levels after the market closes. See you then. And just like that, we're at the end of the day. The market closed 3 hours ago. Pretty good way to end the week. Let's expand this a little and talk through this before I show you a recording of one trade, the first trade of the day. So I was actually at the office the entire day. I did record this one because I had made a decision of where the market was going to go, kept this going. But when it got down to the other levels, I was examining many other screens, kind of alternating between the trading screen and my other indicators. So it was kind of a mess. So that recording is kind of just not worth watching, but I can talk through it. So playing by the rules, you would have bought, and when it came into 499.50, it was above there at 945, and after gotten out of money a little bit, it bounced or would have given you a base hit. I waited till it got underneath, and I went short because I expected it to go lower. In fact, I trailed some of this position, so I got more than a base hit on those, more than a base hit on the first part of the position, and then as well as the second part. So you'll see that. This next trade was pretty straightforward. That was a base hit, more than enough to pull a base hit there, but there was two heartbreakers. They came up pennies away from the level. So keep in mind 495.56 was the operating level. The low was 495.58, 2 pennies away, pulled up. That was the trade there, and they came back quick enough to where I did not want to take the trade. So I did not take this trade here, but as you can see, that worked pretty well from that level, at least in general. But I didn't take that trade, and I didn't take the next one. So no, this level's satisfied at this point. So when it came through it again, it doesn't matter. So this next trade, same thing. The low here, 494.02 and 494, so 2 pennies away again, pulled up. Now at this point, there's some time. If I see it elapse between the first time that it comes into this level or attempts to hit the level and comes back again, I'll take the trade again, and that would have worked here. But it was 542, and I don't like to take trades after 3:30. It worked here again. So both of these are a little bit of heartbreakers at the end of the day. But let's take a look at the recording. So I'll talk through my mindset of why I went short here. In fact, I'll show you an email that I sent out to the pre-subscribers and explained exactly that this morning. Okay, I'll set the stage first. So as you can see, it's already after 9:45, and they came down. So remember I mentioned before, playing by the rules, you would have bought here, you would have been in a long position. But watch this happen. And at this point, I had done enough analysis, kind of examined things, that I was confident that if they came back up here, I could go short and ride this farther than just for a base hit. So that's why I had a limit order to sell to if they got back up to this level. So I'll start playing this. Another thing I'm going to explain is I decided just to show you what would happen in real time. So like this is sped up until it hits the trade. And then this is real time. So this is what you're looking at. It's not really all that fast when you're in actual trades typically. So I'm in the position, short 2, as you can see. This is real time. This will speed up in a minute as this plays out. Just to show you, kind of give you a feel for what this trade looks like. So here we're speeding up. You can disregard that antivirus thing that pops up occasionally. But anyway, so they were out of the money, but I gave it some time. I put the fumble threshold on the chart at some point, and I gave it a little bit more wiggle room. I gave it 5 points. I figured if it closed 5 points above this after a certain period of time, then I would consider my first instinct wrong and make a different decision. But turned out I was right. They went down for a while. So I think I took 9 points or so, 8 or 9 points on the first half of the position. And you'll see that happen. I might just go ahead and scrub ahead until they get down there. Then the recording slows down to real time, so you can sort of see the trade. I don't know if this is going to work in the future. To do this takes a little bit more post editing, but just to give you an idea of what it looks like in real time. So meanwhile, I'll just tell you right now that identified a level under this. My thought was if they break this area where they bounce up several times in the spiders, same thing in the E-minis, they break that low, they're going to go lower. So I want to buy back my one contract right down toward the bottom of that. So you'll see me put a limit order on the chart there. So that's less than 9 points, I guess. And that worked. So they filled that. And I just trailed, I put like a 10-point trailer on the remaining part of that position. Right there, you see it. And I'm just in the position. This is real time, just making some adjustments to the chart. And, I'm okay, honestly, if they come back up and stop me out, because I got a pretty decent little run on that one contract, but I thought they'd go lower. So when they did started going lower, I identified a place that was actually in front of 497.06 to jump out. And you'll see that happen. And it turned out to be a pretty good interim area, interim support that they found. So they came down, so trailed this another 8 points or so, this one contract. So when it comes back up and I realized, okay, this is probably, it's not here, it's actually lower. Probably the, I'm not even paying attention. Let me back up so I can show it to you. So here we go. So when I canceled, I just deleted that. And then when you saw the short $450 there, I just closed the contract out at the market. So, or close that position out. So that was where I went. I exited that position. So that level satisfied at this point. And like I mentioned earlier, I did trade this next level. These two were near misses, so I didn't get those, but this is not recorded because I'm kind of bouncing around. See, you got to think at this point, I'm okay to take a short position for a lot longer. I'll just start it over. I guess I can let this go for a lot longer, but I'm not really willing to buy necessarily. I know there's going to be a bounce, generally speaking, but I just want to be 100% sure before I buy at 497.06. So leading up to that, I'm going back and forth between other screens and looking at other charts to get a pretty good feel for what the markets can do. So that made the recording of that pretty messy. So nothing really more to see here. Let's jump back to the full day just to talk through, just to show what the chart looked like after the trades were taken. That was the short position, short trade, long trade here. This looked like it worked. Obviously, it did work, but I didn't take the trade because it came within pennies. So I'll call that a near miss. And this was a near miss as well. Did not take these trades. So not recording those in the log, which we'll take a look at right now. Here we are, playing by the rules. You would have had 2 base hits and 2 near misses. So 8 points. I got 2 base hits, but I got a little bit more. I got 4 points on the first half of that position and trailed the other half, 8.5 points. So and then the second base hit here. And then the other 2 were near misses as well. Didn't take those, but 21.25 points. And I want to point something else out. Remember Monday, April 15, pretty bad day for me. I made some dumb mistakes. So something I actually noticed the next day, Tuesday, I was analyzing some areas where these near misses occurred because, generally they're viable for a retest or recycle the next day. And I was looking at them trying to understand what happened. And I realized that there was an incorrect formula and I had entered some numbers in incorrectly, basically. So it threw off most of the levels, in fact, pretty much all the levels. So I went back, and I'm leaving this alone. This is what I did, so this is the case. But I went back and looked at it. So here is April 15 with the real numbers, and just analyze what would have happened playing by the rules. And you would have still ended in the red. It was negative $800 before with one contract, if you recall. But it wasn't as bad. You would have had a first base hit. You would have lost some on the averaging in on the next 2 levels, but you would have got a base hit on the reversal of that. Then you've got a base hit on the final level. So you would have been above water, and it wouldn't have been kind of the bloodbath that I got trading this one contract, which is, once again, this is pretty crazy when you have a loss that big trading one contract. Don't normally like to do that, but it is what it is. And I kind of considered whether I should bring this to everyone's attention, but as you know, in full disclosure, it was my mistake, and the numbers for that day were completely incorrect. You can see what they are. In fact, let's see here. So didn't adjust these. This is what I put out that morning, but here's the actual numbers right here for that day. So if you want to go back and double check that work, you're welcome to do that. And let me just show you the email from this morning just to clarify one point. Basically, I just want to point out that when I provided these levels this morning to the pre-subscribers at 8:47 a.m., talking about that level at 499.50 that was dashed, essentially said here that it could go either way. Depending on how things look in the market, this sentence here, the level can go either way. Be aware of a trapdoor situation or a big rally. I know, it kind of goes without saying, but what I was basically implying here is that depending on what what I see in the market, I may not just be buying based on the strict rules. Like if it's above after 9:45, then buy. If it's below, then go short. I let it get below, and then I sold when it got back up to it, as you saw in the recording. Anyway, I just want to show you that because that was the expectation of that level going into the day, and it worked out pretty well. Anyway, those were the trades, and I think we've covered everything. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't know if you like the one thing I was going to ask is the post editing where I'm, slowing the videos down so you can actually see the trades a little bit. It takes a little bit more effort to do this, and honestly, it is not necessarily easy to get all these trades recorded, especially when I'm at the office. So anyway, if you have any input or comments on that approach or format, if you'd like to see me kind of do a little bit more post editing where you can sort of see things in real time instead of me speeding the entire thing up at like 16x or 10x or whatever it is throughout the entire recording session, then let me know. If you want to comment below, I would appreciate the feedback. Again, thanks for watching and have a great weekend.